I'm really excited about this week's show. I mean, it's super exciting to me to do these, no matter what the topic is, but this topic's going to be awesome. What's up, everybody? It's Bryan Auer. I'm here with Jason Harper, and this is Keep It Current, a real estate show. The goal here is to help real estate professionals go to a higher place in their career by providing high quality and hopefully actionable content. If that sounds interesting to you or even moderately fun, then stick around because we have a lot to go over. So, Jason, tell me, how was your weekend?
My weekend, man, I felt like I lived like a king. It was incredible.
We all did.
I decided to join a boat club, which I haven't done yet, but you might know something about that.
Oh yeah, we had a good time at Freedom Boat Club. We went to multiple restaurants. We may or may not have drank too much, but we had some nice cigars. We had just a great time. It was Jason's birthday, everyone. You're 44 now.
44.
44. Just a child. Trust me. Compared to me, he's just
my back says otherwise, but okay.
Yeah. Well, we had a great time. I even posted about it while we were out there. I mean, it was just a great time. And I can't wait to go back and do it again. And once you join Freedom Boat Club, then we can go out there on our boats and just play chicken, and just really go crazy.
I'm sure they would appreciate that.
Might void the warranty or get us kicked out of the club. But so last week, Jason, we talked about how to get more listings. And really what that means is how to get in front of more people, right, for a listing opportunity. Today, we are going to be talking about something quite a bit. It's not different. It's in the same ballpark. I'm going to have to talk fast because I have so much I want to say. And it's because I know there's a lot of people who have various different listing presentations and different cadence to what they talk about and how they present in front of a potential client. Sometimes it's a really hot lead and you don't need anything other than just, going there, showing up, telling them what their house is worth and listing it. Other times you've got to, sell a little bit. Everything we're going to talk about today is under the auspices of you had to do a little bit of farming. You had to get in front of someone. They are, we'll just call them a warm lead, right? Because most of them are warm leads. It's not the come list me call. Okay. It's the lead that, is really, really serious about selling their home. Mm-hmm. You've had some back and forth, whether they came in through a postcard or what have you, but you're now finally at a place where you're in front of them, employing a lot of the things that we talked about last week. And now you're like, what kind of presentation do I have? Well, we're going to talk about that because we believe that what's in your listing presentation matters. It really matters.
Absolutely.
And it probably matters more now than it did back when the market wasn't so crazy, because right now I think a lot of sellers might think, geez, I don't even need a listing agent. Everything's selling so fast. I'm just going to use my iPhone. I'm just take a picture. I'm going to put it in Craigslist and we're going to get top dollar. And we all know that is not going to happen for them, which has been proven time and time again. That doesn't happen. So you still have to have a good presentation because you not only have to convince that seller that you have the tools that are going to be more successful for them, but you have to kind of prove your worth a little bit, right? Makes sense.
Yeah, it's competition. You're competing. I mean, you have to stand out. And not only that, if you're going to spend the money to get in front of somebody and then not be prepared, it's like you may as well not even spend the money. Exactly.
You have to have a listing presentation that definitely includes at least these 5 things that I'm going to talk about. I'll take the wheel first, not because I'm trying to hog it, but we discussed it first that I would go first. I think the first thing that you really need to include in your listing presentation is social proof. And when I say social proof, guys, I am not talking about the kind of ego type of social proof that we all maybe at some point in our career get wrapped up into, where we say, we bring pamphlets and we bring PowerPoint presentations that have slides that are 10 slides long about why we're number one. Most sales, most this, most that, fewer of this, more of that. You're number one in everything, right? Well, I mean, study after study shows that that kind of ego marketing does not work nearly as much as just standard social proof. And by social proof, I'm talking about testimonials, 5-star reviews, providing literally a book, if you can, of all of the past clients that you've had that are just your cheerleaders. They're just telling everyone about you. They're so happy to write a Zillow review. There's a lot of bad talk about Zillow these days. But one thing about Zillow, which is really incredibly important, is it's a good place to park your reviews for two reasons. One, you cannot have a review there unless it's vetted by Zillow. If it's a fake review, it'll never show up. They actually have a team that vets those reviews. And also, there's 200 million people that go to Zillow each month. Yep. So that's a good place to have your reviews, don't you think?
Yeah.
You better have them there.
You better.
Exactly. So I think it's important. So social proof, really, really important. And you can do that really easy with slides. You can do copies of your social proof. You can make a booklet of your social proof. It has to be part of your listing presentation, not how many awards you've won. They don't care about that. They want to see how many people that you've had good success with that are willing to brag about you. That's social proof. Yeah. And do you have anything to add to that, or?
I think the beauty with social proof is it cuts through one of the biggest issues. I hate to say it going back to the old days, but being licensed for as long as I have, It used to be, prior to social media, potential customer relied on what you were feeding them, and so there was always this issue of are you telling me the truth? And it took so long to build trust in with the customer. You market for 12 plus months. Now you really don't even have to say, hey, we've done this. If you're just delivering just sold, just listed, pending, sold, review after review,
absolutely,
it solves that transparency issue. And that's another thing Zillow does really well. Love them or hate them, I really like them. It's like you said, it's a transparent review, because you and I can't go in and just write reviews about how awesome we think we are. And we'll dive into a little more transparency later on some of these topics, but social proof solves the transparency issue.
Yeah, good point.
It is super important to the potential customer.
Excellent. Love that. The next thing I think every listing presentation should have is options for the seller. I think right now there are so many alternative ways to sell homes, and sellers are just being bombarded with, Open Door and Zillow offers and all of these different, we'll just call them alternative disposition platforms, right? I mean, it's kind of what they really are. We can't, as a listing agent, just assume that they are only willing or wanting to hear one, you can't be a one-trick pony. You have to have a lot of tools in your tool belt. And we can do an entire show on this. I know we can, but I actually have access through various networking and through various certifications, even at my brokerage. I have access to literally dozens and dozens of real cash buyers. I have their proof of funds. I have their buy box. I literally can go to any listing presentation and say, you've got options. We can do a traditional sell, which has a traffic approach where you bring a lot of buyers through the front door and get bidding wars and really get more money for your house. That does take a little bit more effort on everyone's part, including the seller. But sometimes they don't want that. They don't want just a presentation about that, because you might lose that listing because you didn't mention the fact that you can actually offer them a cash deal. And if you don't know where to go to get cash buyers, then please reach out to us. There's a lot of techniques. Maybe, Jason, literally we should do a show on how to.
Yeah, I think it's becoming prevalent enough in the marketplace that it definitely probably should be a whole show. But if I could add one thing to that, if you look at a lot of the iBuyers in the marketplace, even they are starting to offer some additional options. One nice thing about this business is if you look at whether it's an individual, a team, or a company that's having good success, it's pretty obvious. We can look and see what they're doing.
Right.
Maybe we don't know their back-end systems, but so going back to say Zillow, okay, they offer to buy homes.
Yeah.
Great. They're having in certain markets, 15, 20% market share, whereas they were 3 years ago would have been super stoked at 5%. So it's why wouldn't we adopt that as an option just to at least put it on the table? Because one thing about, closing a listing is if that is even something the customer's thinking about and we don't offer it as an option, once we leave, they're going to go have another conversation about it. So for us, it should be really, we want to give you options to consider or at least determine which route is best. So if that is the option for you, let us help shop, at least for competing bids from investors, so you can kind of put it on the table.
Absolutely.
And again, it kind of goes back to transparency too. At least gives them an opportunity to say, yes, this is of interest. Or no, we looked into that, we don't want to do it. So it's really just giving options, which really we should be doing anyways.
It shows that you're a more rounded professional, that you're not just coming there to take some photos, put a sign in the yard and hope for the best. That you actually have that alternative disposition mindset as well. Now, I'm certified, and I've gone through quite a bit of training to make sure that I'm, a good partner for a lot of our cash buyers, our investors. But I know 9 out of 10. No, I'm not even saying 9 out of 10. I'm going to say 99% of the time, especially in this market, you are going to not do a quick sale cash type of transaction.
Right.
You have to let them know you offer it, but you're not going to do that, guys. It's going to end up being the traffic approach where you're bringing more buyers, bidding wars, things like that. That brings me to number 3.
But before you go there, I'm just going to say this as strongly as I can. You have to offer that nowadays. If you're not, you are missing a huge piece of the puzzle. And all you need is 1 or 2 investors to say, we can offer you investor offers. It also gives you the ability to go out in the marketplace and market for investors. Hey, we have properties that people need to sell direct off market, right? So we can go into that later, but that number 2 right there, people need to start incorporating into their listing presentation. Yep,
I agree totally. If you want help with that, or if you want just a playbook on how to get investors, please reach out to me. My email is I thought I had it below. No, you can just reach out below. If you're listening to this on a podcast, you can reach out to us and make comments. You can if you're watching this on YouTube, then leave a comment below. We actually do take the time to respond to everything. Same here on Facebook Live. We will respond to you. So we're happy to show our playbooks for this stuff, even our entire listing presentation as we're kind of going through these things. So like I said, in most cases, you're in this approach, you're providing options, but you're going to really just do more of a traffic approach where you bring more buyers. And that is number 3, which is you need to have a very powerful, very detailed marketing plan. You have to differentiate yourself. You have to show that there is a huge degree of separation between you and the average agent who just is, wanting to put a sign in their yard. And again, even though the market's kind of frenzy right now, there are so many things that you can do to make a seller feel more comfortable choosing you, just because, 98% of the buyers that are shopping for homes today are starting their shopping online. 98%. I'm not making up that number. I mean, you can fact check this on California Association of Realtors. Actually, I think it's NAR. I think that's a National Association of Realtors. And we're talking even if you list homes in, 55 plus communities, guys, 55, I'm pretty much 55 plus. I use the internet, and I'm not that unique. So, there are in every price range, people are starting their home search online. So it's up to you to demonstrate that you know how to go after those buyers in a very, very concrete sequential ways. So helping the seller see that you have a marketing plan that includes helping them get their home prepared. That's really, really important. Showing samples of your marketing photos, your video, your 3D, the drone photography and video, virtual staging if you offer it. And I highly recommend you do offer that. If you don't, reach out to me. There's several companies that are very inexpensive. And it's incredible when you virtually stage a few rooms. It's amazing, and you can show samples of that in your listing presentation, which we'll get into that in a little bit here. But what about Facebook paid ads? I mean, that's part of the whole online and digital marketing. Instagram, YouTube, and Google. Maybe you have a custom site. You have to show them with your marketing plan that you have all of these things dialed in. I even take it a step further and I show what IDX feeds are. I explain it real quick how it works, and I show them what their house is going to look like with our photos and videos and all of that attached to it, how it looks on Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and Homes.com and Yahoo Homes. I actually will show them samples of what their property is going to look like when you list with us on those sites compared to how it's going to look with other agents who are just using their iPhone or leaving out key elements in their listings. So really important to do that. But what the coolest thing about having this marketing plan that's all about online marketing, online exposure, is those are funnels, you guys. All of those are funnels. So, and this is going to lead to number 4. But before I go to number 4, think about it this way. When you're marketing on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you've got postcard campaigns, various different things that you're doing to get the word out on a particular property. You have to leverage that, and the best way to not squander that spend is to capture leads, capture buyers, right? So having a lead ad form, excuse me, or having something that a buyer has to actually opt in and give you information to get some info on the property is not a bad thing, because where you might think, oh, I might lose a few buyers because they're not going to want to opt in. Well, it's so much better to have people have to opt in at least in a soft way, just with an email or something and a name, because it will provide a list for you, which every one of your marketing tools out there, your lead magnets, which are those homes in this situation, should cause people to respond to that ad and give you information so that you can capture that lead, that buyer. And so being able to, number 4, in your listing presentation, show the seller how many buyer leads you have is so important. Jason and I were talking about this before the show. You probably think, oh, I don't have a list of a bunch of buyers to show that. Yes, you do. Because if you've been in this industry any amount of time, you can look at your CRM and see how many buyer leads that have come into there over the period of, the last 6 months or whatever. I mean, I can tell you right now, without bragging, my team gets at least 100 leads per month, at least, and that's from multiple channels. And those are mostly buyer leads. So I can actually bring a packet of 300 buyer leads on a listing presentation. That's a fresh batch. And I can say, look how many buyer leads I know how to attract. And you just watch them smile. They're just like, wow, this is really cool. Not only do you know how to market my home to the world, but you actually have real phone numbers, real addresses. And I have every single one of those buyers this is a whole nother show, but I created a custom audience on Facebook. So I'm constantly marketing our listings to that custom audience, and I'm upping that audience every single month. So between, that kind of target marketing and just being able to physically show either with screenshots or with a physical printout of all those buyers, that's huge. What are your thoughts, Jason?
Yeah. Huge. And actually 2 things to add to that. So with showing the buyer leads you have, to take it a step further, and this might be in this market, this might be more of a pre-listing thing you would do. In a normal market, it might be more of a drip campaign you would do. But I think once you've demonstrated how many buyer leads you've generated, especially if you're farming, if you're working, or at least like, let's just say in one particular city or in 3 neighborhoods, you have hundreds of buyer leads. When you go on an appointment, you should also show this is a retargeting campaign we have. So not only are we attracting buyers for similar homes of yours, but we also have tools to remarket to them prior to going on the market, as we go on the market, and as we are on the market.
Exactly.
Right? And so it's a totally separate element that a lot of people, like most people, aren't even showing how many buyer leads they have, nor are they demonstrating a plan that they have to market to them. So
they have them. They have them. There's agents that are watching this now that will, or again, we'll watch it later, because most of our audience comes, in the coming weeks on these videos. But I guarantee there's going to be an agent that watches this that's going to have that aha moment. Go, oh my gosh,
yeah,
I have so many buyer leads.
And buyers.
You can just open up your Zillow app and look at all the contacts that are in your Zillow app and show that to your seller. And for most of you, if you've been with Zillow long enough, there's probably over 1,000 in there. Now, most of them are cold and dead, but that at least demonstrates that you know how to go after buyers.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of your presentation.
Huge. And then one other thing to add, going back to number 3, as far as the detailed marketing plan, is understanding the market you're in. Right now, obviously, you used the word frenzy earlier. We're in this crazy market. So really, at least in my opinion, we should really emphasize what we're doing prior to going on the market, right? So if I'm meeting with you in your house today, I don't want to talk about what I'm going to do over the next 30 to 60 days, because the market. You're like, 30 to 60 days, I should be out of my house. So
absolutely,
I should demonstrate a plan, which is, this is what we're going to do for 2 weeks leading up to your house going on the market. That way we only need to show your home for 2 or 3 days and generate X amount of offers. And it's more, we're making this easy for you. We're giving you so many offers that you have leverage and choices. Whereas when we're in a market where we do sit for 30 to 60 days, you don't want to come in with this detailed marketing plan of everything we're going to do a week leading up to listing. Then all of a sudden it's kind of like falls off, right? At that point, you need kind of a long-term plan. So anyhow,
no, that's a very good point. I mean, you have to, and I think your listing presentation needs to be a living, breathing type of instrument. Something that you can edit very easily. My listing presentation is constantly being updated with fresher, newer videos, fresh stats. And we're going to talk about delivery systems on that in a second, but, quite honestly, you should make sure that the listing presentation that you do, it's not a set it and forget it. It's not one of those evergreen pieces. Some of the pages can be, but you got to identify what market you're in and make sure you're hitting those sellers where they're at, because it's relevant. It is relevant. You're not going to use the word frenzy in an REO market, which we used to both be part of, and the average days on market was literally 6 months. So you're not going to go and talk to a bank and say, I really, because of the frenzy, I want you to list with us. I mean, that's silliness.
Yeah.
So, but that brings us to number 5. Well, let's just recap just for fun. I mean, we've talked about how important it is to have social proof. Very important. The ability to give a seller options, having a really detailed marketing plan. And again, if you guys want to see our actual presentation, just reach out. I'm more than happy to send it to you. Yep. Showing the sellers how many buyers you're able to generate. And then, all of those things just really kind of show that you know how to get their house out there, and you know how to definitely get buyers attracted to it, and you definitely know how to, sell a house. But that's only a tiny little piece of it when you consider that it's really important to show the seller that you have back-end systems and knowledge to ensure that the home's actually going to close escrow. So many of us forget to include details like, oh, by the way, we're going to get your home in escrow, but we're also going to keep it in escrow, and we're going to show you what a successful close looks like. Because, newer agents, I mean, just look, the fact of the matter is, just because a buyer raises their hand and says, I want this house, and they're the highest buyer, does not even close to be, it doesn't mean that they are the strongest buyer. Let's just put it that way. And so you have to be able to demonstrate that your team knows how to vet buyers, that you know how to pre-qualify buyers without any, RESPA violations. You need to be able to, know how to hold and convey and convince with the systems that you have, that there's going to be schedules kept, right? Showing at a listing appointment, actually show them what your systems look like. Here's how we keep everyone on track. Here's a calendar of events. This is when this contingency is up. And this is when this contingency is up. And here are the systems I have in place to make sure that everyone, and maybe that system for you is just saying that I have a transaction coordinator or a closing partner who's going to do that. And so maybe that's your time to introduce who that person is. But however you do it, you have to be, very intentional on letting the seller know that you have systems in place, and you also have negotiating skills, not just to get them the highest offer, but to deal with a request for repairs that might be a little bit ridiculous, right? Or how about an appraisal deficiency that's just ridiculous, right? If you've got good negotiating skills, and you've got a nominal amount of buyer control and seller control, then you can keep those deals together. And I think it's important to include that, and I always include that in my listing presentation. So, yep. If a seller knows you know how to get the deal and keep it together, you are going to win more listings. I promise you. And yep. And there's a bunch of scripts that we use. We will do a show on scripts for listing appointments. In fact, if you'd like to see, whatever topics you'd like us to touch on, please leave a comment in the description below, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, or reach out to us if you're listening on a podcast. But we have all kinds of tools and playbooks and stuff that we can provide, and it's totally free. We just want to help you guys out. So,
but have a plan for that. Everybody has a marketing plan. You really need a closing plan. And just as we demonstrate our marketing plan to a client, we should be demonstrating a closing plan.
Yep.
I mean, bottom line. Not only that, but again, just going back to the difference between getting a deal and not getting a deal is usually pretty small. It usually comes down to, we present probably 90% of the same stuff. So it's, what is that 10, 15, 20% that makes me unique? Maybe it's just articulating what it is we do, how we do it, why we do it, versus not. And so,
good point.
I think it's important to demonstrate that. Not only that, but if you think about it from a customer standpoint, once you get an escrow and you are the only person they've ever talked to, and all of a sudden they get an email. I used to do that, and people would be like, hey, is this spam? So-and-so is emailing me and wants all this information from you. It was like, oh, shoot. I probably should let you know that I have a transaction coordinator. So
That's
now
right.
we make that part of our actual presentation. We talk about her, what she does, when she gets involved, the importance of that, what it helps us accomplish, and so on and so forth.
Again, you're giving confidence. You've got this. You've got this. You've got the social proof. You've got the systems to get the buyers. You've got all the back end to keep it all together, keep everything organized. You're ultimately giving them such a sense of, wow, they've got this. They've got my best interest at heart, through this whole thing.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how to deliver that listing presentation. Jason, you use High Note. Tell us a little bit about High Note.
We do. So I signed up for High Note while they might even still be in beta testing, but I sat on it for about 5 months at $29 a month. So I didn't lose too much, but I just never took the time to set it up. It was, one of those, I think we all pay for things we never use in this business. And then one day I decided just to kind of dive in and see what it was about. And it was so awesome looking and so easy to set up. that I said, I'm going to give it a shot on, next listing appointment. High Note is basically kind of like an app-based system where you can build out custom listing, pre-listing, buyer appointments, your escrow process. I mean, anything you want to include, you can include and build out a template. That way, if you have a new buyer or a new listing. So in this case, with the listing, everything is pretty much built out. You have examples of your marketing. You have all of the content that would be in your listing presentation.
Yeah.
Really nice, sleek looking email app type system, depending on what device you're using. That really all you have to do is open it, drop in a CMA, a customized message, and the address, and email it out. What I love about it is the analytics. I mean, it looks awesome, and I can send it to anybody who's watching this just so they can see it as though they're a prospective seller.
Yeah.
But what I love about it is, when we get in front of a homeowner, it's always, there's that like, what's really important to them? And you're trying to read them and kind of figure out, is it marketing? Is it the process? Is it my experience? You can see everything. So if you really break down your presentation by my experience, my marketing, the CMA, you can see what they're looking at and how long they're looking at it and say, okay, they're really only concerned with their home's value.
Right.
Or they're really concerned with, obviously, what I'm going to do to market. It just gives you a leg up when you go in. Number one, what I found is it almost comes into a, let's just sit down and figure out pricing and timing.
Right.
But even in the scenarios where it doesn't, you can more or less go in and say, I get the feeling that marketing is most important to you. And right away they're like, yes. And so
because they don't know that they don't know that you have analytics and eyeballs on the fact that when they open that email and went to that site, because that's what it is. It's an email, right?
Yeah.
They spend, your analytics will tell you that they spent 10 minutes on video and 2 seconds on photo. Video is more important to them.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
So if you want to see what it looks like, put your email, depending on how you're listening or watching, just drop a note with your email. I will send it to you as though you are a prospective seller of mine, so you can see what it looks like.
Cool. Now, let's be clear. You're not going to try to list and sell an agent's home just that reaches out to you.
I never said that.
Oh, okay, good. Good. That's good. You're consistent. So High Note sounds like a great tool. I have High Note. I use it for other things. We use it more on the buyer side. But what a great tool High Note is. And I think it actually still is in beta.
I think it is.
Yeah, but it's really great. And my good friend and a gentleman who's a senior partner in my organization, Kyle Whistle, was the one that told me about it. In fact, he actually helped. Kyle helped me get it because I was trying so hard to get it, and it was sold out or not available. Yeah. And he's like, use this code, this promo code.
Nice.
So he helped me get it. But anyway, for me, my delivery is a URL. So when somebody is inquiring, I send them to, if you guys want to write this down, it's ourteam.com/marketing. And I have URLs, different URLs that point to that page, but not the Our Team, but ourteam.com/marketing. It's basically a landing page. It shows them everything that we do. It says who you list with matters, has a listing collage, has everything that we talked about that is important to include in a listing presentation. It has all of those things, lots of social proof, samples of everything. It's a place where they can go and just sort of at their own tempo, at their own leisure, consume that content, and it helps them make an intelligent decision on whether or not we're a good fit for them. And most of the things in there are flashy enough that if that's sort of a seller's love language, they're going to want to list with us because we definitely have a lot of great things on there. But when I get into their home, I use here. I'm going to try to. This is not a good way to show this, but I'm going to try it anyway. I use an iPad Pro, and I literally have I have my whole presentation on an iPad Pro, so I can go through social proof and I can go through, how we help them stage their home. And I have all the different various things that we talked about with, photo samples and video samples and all of that stuff. It's all right here. We talk about staging. We talk about videography, sample videos. I mean, who doesn't want a duck in their video, right? Cool music. We do kind of more like, lifestyle style videos on a lot of our stuff. So we're showing the community, and we're doing a lot more than just here's what the house looks like. 3D, I go through all of it with them, right? Show them what the 3D presentation looks like in a house. And these are slides that I can change. I talk about Zillow and all our, more social proof there, but all of this stuff is very easy to do on an iPad or on any type of tablet. You don't have to have it. Doesn't have to be an Apple product. I think it's easier to use this stuff, quite honestly. But this is definitely my favorite delivery system when I'm in the house, because I can just poke through. And pro tip is I actually will use my phone. I just started doing this not too long ago. I use my phone as a remote. So instead of being in a mode where you're showing people what the presentation looks like over here and skipping along, because I don't have to talk about this one, so I'm just going to skip to this one. Well, they're seeing those slides and it looks a little cheesy. If you keep your iPhone in that mode, then you just have your iPhone up and you can talk and you can choose the slides along the way. It's a lot more, it's more dynamic, and it's more, because I have slides in there that are really geared towards, million plus homes. And I have slides in there that are geared towards homes that are, double wides in Hemet. So, it's like, having, again, an adaptable, a very, the type of presentation that you can deliver like that and change constantly. It's a living, breathing organism tool in your business is very, very important. So that's what I do. Combination between URL landing page and then iPad once I get there.
So we're both pretty much digital, but I do think it's important for the people who aren't going to list on the spot to also have something to leave. And I know we were talking about that earlier. So,
definitely
branded folder with, your entire presentation in, a nice booklet inside, CMA, business cards, and hey, even take it up a notch, like add some swag, like, coffee cups or something to leave with them. Because if it takes them 5 days to decide who they're going to list with, you want that sitting on their kitchen table or on their kitchen countertop for the next week.
For sure.
So I think it's important to have that too, but more as a backup.
Right. Just leaving stuff. I mean, if you say that you do high impact marketing, leave some of the samples behind, right? I mean, do that. Exactly. I'm trying to duck under the. I forget that I'm in control. I can do this, but instead I'm. Whatever.
You look scared of the postcard.
I'm very scared of the postcards. They're so effective. They're scary. But no, exactly like what you said. So we're so digital, and we want to prove that we're tech enabled. But you've got to leave something for them to reflect on. And that can't just be a little card that says, don't forget to visit my site. No, I mean, they need to have something. And I love the whole t-shirt thing. That is a great idea. I don't know how many people would wear my logo around town, but I think it's pretty cool.
Even if they don't, it's there.
They're going to throw it away if they list with someone else.
Yeah. Well, they might.
If I go in a listing presentation and I see your shirt folded up on their kitchen table, I'm just stealing that thing. Or maybe you'll stuff it.
Wear it around town. I mean, somebody else will call instead. I mean, it'll all work out. It's okay.
Exactly. Well, we're running a little past the time that we like to go on these. But it's hard. It's really hard for me to, spit. And I try to talk as fast as I can. I mean, social proof, providing the seller options is super important. These are all things that should be in your listing presentation. Powerful and detailed marketing plan, because most of them are not going to do a cash thing. You just want to be able to offer it. You have to show the buyer or the seller that you know how to accumulate buyer leads. It's so crucial. It's pivotal. And then finally, show the seller that you know how to, keep deals together. So I don't know if we should go any longer in this, simply just because time is. I want to be sensitive to people. I think we're good. There's a lot more that we can springboard off of this. This literally just scratches the surface on a lot of the other nuts and bolts things of this. You might have questions like, okay, well, where do I get the screenshots for this stuff? Where do I get the materials to put my listing presentation? You've given us 5 things that are really important, Bryan and Jason. That's great, but where do I get the content, right? Well, we can help with that. We can email samples. I'm happy to do a Zoom call and actually show you how to put it together. A lot of it is just screenshotting and things that are already in your database, where you just have to, you're putting together, social proof, and you've got it. So sometimes just it's a matter of learning how to do screenshots and putting it in a presentation. Yeah. That stuff can be stressful to some. It's very easy to us. We're happy to help.
Yeah, I'll put people in touch with actual designers. I mean, bottom line, just reach out, whether it's big or small need, either way, let us know.
Yep. And you had somebody design yours. You took all your ideas, basically gave it to a designer who just did an incredible job with all your print media. I mean, it's so pro. Exactly. It looks so good. The colors even are just, everything looks really, really good. So I think you did an excellent job with that. I guess that's it, you guys. We will look forward to seeing you next week. I'm going to try my best to keep it down a little less than sometimes though, bro, sometimes when we do these, you end up being the long-winded one because you're
never long-winded. Ask my wife. She'll tell you I don't talk much.
Sometimes, final thought here. Brevity is the soul of wit. So usually when you can be brief about something and really get your point across, it means that you're well prepared. I try so hard to prepare for this stuff, but it's like sometimes it's, there's so much to chew on. And if you missed any of it, you guys just replay it or whatever. It's going to be out there for a very long time.